And I'm also, from my perspective, since staff had several recommendations, I'm also setting aside for now the discussion on the fee and the fee study and the appropriation of the general funds, but tackling the eviction protections in ordinance number 1. The ordinance is drafted. It provides for or allows for no cause evictions, no cause evictions, but it is structured to disincentivize no cause evictions solely to increase rents by um, providing that if you do a no cause eviction, you are then capped on the maximum rent increase for the next tenant, and there are penalties if it turns out that you don't abide by that cap, and then you're required to pay relocation benefits.
Okay, but if we don't have a cap, we just have that you have to go to RAC at some point. I don't think we have a cap.
So I think then the discussion might be whether or not you establish a cap for if there's consensus, which I understood there was, that you wanted to allow no cause evictions, but you wanted to disincentivize them. You may want to have a cap on what the next rent could be, kind of separate from.
So I think we heard that there's some code section that limits it to whatever the prior.
Code 1941 or whatever that is.
I mean, we heard that from the landlord side. So I think that we could adopt that.
The Costa-Hawkins is silent with respect to whether or not you can put a cap. I mean, you don't have to put it. You don't have to put any cap at all on the landlord putting a cap on the new tenant. The Costa-Hawkins is silent with respect to that.
Okay,
so you could not have a cap at all, or you could put whatever cap you choose.
Okay, but what we heard from the landlord speaker was Civil Code Section 1946. A new tenant cannot be charged more than the previous tenant.
I think we have a disagreement with.
But could we? I mean, it sounds to me like that was, if we're agreeable to that, that was their offer. Why could we not? Why could we? Why don't we just do that then?
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying that I think their application is a little broader than what I might feel comfortable with, but
is that what you heard too, though, that they said?
I heard it.
So why would you not recommend that then?
Well, my suggestion then is, because I think we should further research this so that you feel because you are our legal expert, and I don't think Mr. McConnell is a lawyer. I could be wrong.
There's nothing illegal by doing that. It's just whether or not.
Yeah, there's no cases on it, and perhaps we can just leave that issue. I mean, since we are going to be coming back with a redrafted ordinance that's going to have some further discussion, maybe we don't need to resolve whether or not there needs to be or should be a cap with respect to the new tenant at this point.
Let me make sure.
I would want something.
There has to be.
There has to be. This is a deterrent, so that if a landlord, if you do a no-cause eviction, that then when the next tenant comes along, that they're not getting a double, some exorbitant rent. That's what the purpose of this.
This is exactly at the root of the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you have your landlord's person stand up there and say, the deterrent is already there, that when the new tenant comes in, that they don't charge more than the prior tenant. Why would you not want that if they were offering that? That was an offer.
So the council is saying that what they would want is that you would permit no cause evictions, but for the next tenant coming in, the rent would be exactly equivalent.
No more than what they were prior. What they said was no more than the prior tenant.
It's the prior tenant plus the allowable maximum.
But that's not what he said. He actually said no more than the prior tenant.
But we don't have an allowable maximum
so then it could just be
at this point.
At this point. So
then why not just leave it at no more than the prior tenant?
I think let us go forward with that. We'll come back with that.
Let me also make sure to clarify this. So if I heard correctly, in the event that a tenant has to move for no fault reasons or no cause reasons, And then 7 months later, it's found out that the new tenant is paying more. So did I hear correct that the former tenant is now eligible for relocation assistance?
Okay,
So-
that was Alameda's for fair rent proposal. Staff's proposal in the ordinance reflects that you get the relocation payment from the beginning, regardless of what happens to the next tenant.
Oh,
I think what you might have been thinking of is the tenant who was overpaying gets
A rent roll.
Yeah, they get a rebate, and then there's
a
some
refund
penalty.
back.
mhm.
But I think we can let staff work on this just to refine it a little more. But I think we're moving in the right direction. And if I could just take you back, Ms. Potter, to the fee study and whether or not to impose a fee. Could you, when you come back to us, enumerate all the different things that fee would be going towards paying?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
So let me also, because I think the relocation assistance is important to clarify. So we're still in a situation, though, that if a tenant is given, let's say, a 10% rent increase, and that tenant then goes through the REC process, A, and then B, and this is the new added step, goes through the mediation process, right? Arbitration process. If the outcome of the arbitration process is such that the tenant is still can't, let's say the outcome of the arbitration is 10%, and the tenant can't afford that, we're still in a situation where the tenant is not subject or eligible for relocation assistance.
That's correct.
So the fetter on excessive rent increase in this case is the arbitration process.
That's correct.
So we would hope, at least. Okay.
That's correct.
I just want to go back, and I think,
Member Ernie.
thank you, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry for jumping in too fast. The Vice Mayor, I think, hit it on the head. This is the problem, this evicting and re-renting at market rates. This is the problem we're trying to fix. So, I mean, staff may want to come back and look at it, but they got to come back with something that fixes this problem. Got to come back with something that either says you get the same, the new tenant gets the same as the old tenant, or the new tenant gets the old tenant plus, 5% or whatever it is. It can't be so nebulous. Like, we're going to come back and then you say, we're not going to do this.
Right. We understand, and we will be as precise as possible with the next go around of the.
I mean,
ordinance.
your choice is either, 5% or the same. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of wiggle room there.
okay, next, keep going, you're doing a great job, staff.
So that's what we heard consensus on regarding the eviction limitations. It would allow for no cause evictions with a huge disincentive for that. We also